Hi viewer, welcome to my YouTube channel The Grand Biography. Today we discuss the biography of Aristotle, who is the great Greek philosopher and polymath during the classical period in ancient Greece. Taught by Plato, he was the founder of Lyceum and the pre-Patritic school of philosophy and the Aristotelian traditions. So let's start his biography. The great Greek philosopher Aristotle was born in 384 BCE and was died in 322 BCE. If you understand this structure of philosophy, then you understand the Aristotle philosophy. So let's start. In 384 BCE, Aristotle was born in Stagirus, Macedonia. In 367 BCE, Aristotle enrolls in the academy and becomes a student of Plato. In 347 BCE, Plato dies and Aristotle is passed over as head of the academy. In 347 BCE, Aristotle marries the Pythia, and then in 345 BCE, Aristotle begins writing his book Politics. He never finished the book until about 335 BCE. In 343 BCE, Aristotle, invited by King Philip II, went to Macedonia to tutor his son Alexander the Great. And then 335 BCE, Aristotle founded his own school called Lyceum. In 323 BCE, Aristotle is forced to flee Athens. In 322 BCE, Aristotle passed away. Hopefully you understand very well. So we go through the histories of Greek philosopher Aristotle. Periodization. The most notable rulers during this time are King Philip II and his successor and son Alexander the Great. Both of these kings ruled over the Macedonian Empire. King Philip II took over much of Athenian Empire during his rule. Alexander took over his father's empire at the young age of 20 when his father passed away. For a young leader, Alexander surprised many with his strong attributes and his ability to lead his military. Aristotle lived during the 4th century BCE, which was the height of classical Greek society. Art, architecture, and the literature and philosophy flourished. Aristotle fit right to this period in time with his fascination of education. And then Alexander the Great was engaged in a war against the Persian Empire, and his victory proved why he would become known as Alexander the Great. One of the most influential events during the 4th century BCE to affect Aristotle was the death of Alexander. Following Alexander's death in 323 BCE, a series of civil wars broke out and the leading forces strongly opposed the Macedonians. This period is regarded as a decline of Greek society. Literature was not preserved as well as previously in time and the height of the arts fell. So we go through the history. Aristotle was born in Stagirus, Macedonia in Greece in 384 BCE. His father was the court physician to the Macedonian royal family. The son of the ruling king at the time was Philip II. This forced Aristotle and Philip have interaction at a young age. For the first portion of his life, Aristotle shadowed his father's career and studied medicine. Nicomacheus, Aristotle's father, passed away when Aristotle was only 10 years old. After the death, he was placed under the guidance of Proxenus. At the age of 17, Aristotle enrolled at the academy in Athens and became a student of Plato. At the academy, students learned about mathematics, astronomy, philosophy, medicine, and political theory. Although he started out as a student at the academy, He eventually became a teacher there himself. He aspired to lead the school after Plato. Plato passed away 347 BCE. Despite his aspiration, Aristotle was not chosen as the successor of Plato and left the school shortly after his death. The period in Aristotle's life directly after leaving the academy is unclear. There are few favored possibilities. Some say that the traveled Asia Minor, now Turkey, studying biology and philosophy. Another theory is that he moved to Malaysia and stayed in the court of his friend and ruler Hermes. In 347, Aristotle married the niece of Hermes Pythias. Although the past area in his life is uncertain, most historians can agree on the fact that in 338 BCE, Aristotle returned to Macedonia. This was under an invitation from his childhood acquaintance Philip II. Philip was now the ruling king and had a young son named Alexander. Philip asked Aristotle to come and tutor his sons. The tutoring ended in 336 BCE when Philip passed away and Alexander took over the throne. Aristotle returned to Athens shortly after it had been conquered by Alexander. In 335 BCE, Aristotle built his own school in Athens named Lyceum. He was the head of school for 12 years, and in his time he wrote extensively on the topics of ethics, politics, metaphysics, and science and logic. Around 335 BCE, or maybe a bit later in time, Aristotle finished one of his most famous works, the Politics. Aristotle was forced to flee Athens after the sudden death of Alexander in 323 BCE. This was because Aristotle was associated with the Macedonian kings because of his friendship and tutoring with the royal family. And after Alexander's death, Athens was overtaken by forces strongly opposing the Macedonians. To avoid prosecution, Aristotle fled to his house in Euboea, and after about a year of residing in his country home, Aristotle passed away due to an alleged stomach illness, which has yet to be completely confirmed. And then Theophrastus became the successor of Aristotle's school and tried his best to preserve the works of Aristotle, but because of the numerous amount of writing composed, many were lost in this process. It is said that only 30 of the original 150 philosophical treatises remain to date, although many of the treatises are claimed to be incomplete lecture notes. Aristotle's works ranked from the topic of physics to political morals. If we talk about the achievements, Aristotle's achievements continue to affect society to this date, with his works in politics, ethics, philosophy, and other fields still being studied in universities and colleges. Aristotle's achievements in biology were not passed for centuries after his death. His studies in his region had vast effects on the medical field. Surgeries on the brain were now more accurate and safe than previous to his time. This picture shows the great Greek philosopher Aristotle's achievements. His biological advancement also led to a system for classifying animals and plants based on certain characters. This affected the theory of evolution. This is the last slide of achievements. One of Aristotle's achievements was his work in politics. His thesis was that human beings are by nature political animals who naturally want to live together. This was his theory behind the reason why city-states and political governments come into being. His thesis gave a psychological reasoning for one district ruler So no longer could leaders claim religious status but natural instinct status as well. This theory evolved into the six-fold classification as shown below. In the kingship and the tyranny, one ruler in the government, and oligarchy and the aristocracy, few rulers can govern the government, and democracy and polity, many rulers can govern the government. This classification affected the political divisions throughout Aristotle's time. This is all about the great Greek philosopher Aristotle.